Hey everybody, Scott Pierce here at Listings to Leads. Welcome to the webinar. And today we've got a client of ours, Kathleen Carmichael, who is on the call with us. And I wanted to bring her on just because she had active member of the mastermind group, been a client since I think what, April or March. Is that right, Kathleen?
Yeah, not even a year yet.
Yeah, not even a year yet. And she got into the mastermind group, started posting some really good success that she was having with the system. And I thought it'd be nice to bring her on the webinar to share some of her, maybe her tips, her insights on using Listings to Leads to grow her business. With that, Kathleen, thank you for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. Happy to be
Yeah.
here.
Why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit and just maybe talk a little bit about Listings to Leads. I know we're going to get some questions in, and let's just kind of roll through this.
Okay, great.
If you were training a new agent in your office, maybe talk through some of that stuff.
Okay. Well, I am not a new agent. I've been an agent for 20 years, believe it or not, but I took a long time off after, during the recession and actually a little bit afterwards. So when I got back into the business, I mean, it was like so profound how different the business was from, I call it like pre-recession and post-recession, but really it was pre-technology and post-technology. And so what I found was when I came back, I feel like it's a lot harder. We have a lot more competition, but we can use technology to sort of leverage, we can leverage technology to make ourselves look more professional and actually to be more professional. So, I was just sort of overwhelmed with everything that I needed to do if I really wanted to market my clients' listings well. So I came across Listings to Leads and I dove right in. I think the first thing that I put into Listings to Leads wasn't even my own listing. I think it was like an open house I was holding for someone else in my office. So I just started just by putting it in the system, not knowing what all the capabilities were. There's so much you can do with Listings to Leads, but you just have to start somewhere. So that's what I did. I just started somewhere, marketed an open house, sort of started to understand the capabilities of the system, and went from there and started growing it. And now I really use it in my presentations, and I know that it's gotten me business. It's actually closed me business, and it's definitely given me a competitive edge.
So talk to us about, when you first started and you put in that open house, is that the one where you just generated like 38 leads and we're getting offers and everyone that came through the open house was from the marketing, or like how did that work out?
No, that was just my first listing, but I'll tell you, my first listing of my own that I used Listings to Leads on, I had 60 people come through the open house. I actually had an agent who came to the open house and looked at me and said, "How did you get so many people here?" And it was really great because it was in my own neighborhood. It's a good price point. It's obviously where I want to work because it's like on my back door. But
Yeah.
I did every single thing that you say to do. I literally just went down the list. I sent out the letters. I had people show up to my open house with the letter. And I only sent 100 letters. My neighborhood is like 900 homes,
Okay.
but I only sent out 100 because I'm cheap and I really should have sent out more, but I didn't. And I had 3 people do seller, leads. What is it called? The asking for the home value from the letter, so which was awesome. I actually, so all those people are on my drip campaigns now, and I follow up with them. But I did get multiple offers on that home, but I think the open house, just having so many people at one time in this house, it was just incredible. It really made it look like it was the hottest commodity ever. So I got three offers on that home that weekend.
Nice. Hey, it looks like you have a tab open showing your Listings to Leads account maybe. You mentioned about the checklist, and I see you've got an open house right there at the top in Frankfurt. Yeah, let's show that checklist. When you referenced, you just went through and did the checklist like what we talk about, and so just so people can see.
Right. And so I have, okay, I obviously didn't go back in and check everything off, but I have everything on sort of auto. So I just know that it's going out. So the first thing I do is input the, obviously it goes into listings leads, it gets disseminated. I have it automatically generated. So it goes to my Facebook page, my business page, and then I take it, I link it to my personal page, send it out there. I also usually do an ad for every listing through
Yep.
Facebook. So I just grab the post, go into my ads manager, and do in fact, I have my ads manager up too. I think I did this. I know I did an ad for this listing here and for the open house. So I just go down the list. I update the single property website. I usually do a video. For some reason, this listing here, they didn't want me to do my own video. I don't know
Oh,
why, but so I didn't, so anyway, it's a
so it's
long story there, but I usually do a video, update the single property website that shows the video, and I send that thing out, and I get a lot of shares and a lot of views on it.
that's awesome. Yeah. So your professional photos, 3D tours, property videos, you can all add them into listings to lead. So that's awesome that you're doing that. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
So I mean, I do that for everyone. In fact, I won this listing here because of listings to leads. So this woman, I actually met them for another property. They asked me to come and help them with their house to sell. And she said, "Now, why would I go with you versus a flat fee broker who
Right.
is
Yeah.
named the fee broker?" And I said, "Well, let me show you." And I pulled up another listing that I have right now, and I showed her that listing, which I'll show you right now because it looks really good. It's professionally staged, and I had done a video. Um, and I showed her everything that I do for this for my clients. And I said, a flat fee broker is not going to do this. They're going to put you on the MLS and that's it. But in this market, we are getting a little bit, there's more competition for sellers now.
Yep.
It's still a seller's market, but it's slightly edging up. And you have to stand out. So you have to go above and beyond. So that's what I did. I showed her, but I literally sat at her table with her and showed her everything that I do with listings to leads.
Wow. Hey, do me a favor, click on the task tab right to the left of the tools.
Uh-huh.
And so for the people on the call, whether you're a client already or you're not a client, so that checklist that's working its way down the page there, so your social media, the seller social media, single
Yeah.
property websites, virtual tours. I mean, you show that, and then you show how every status, right? It's not like this is one and done. How you're really remarketing at coming soon if you're going to do that one, but you got just listed, open house, active, pending, just sold. So it's not like it's a checklist. It is a checklist that keeps repeating itself over and over and over again for the benefit of that homeowner.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also showing them this beautiful single property website, which I think is amazing. I mean, and I don't have to do this. So, it's just, here's my little video that I did for this listing. But I mean, I put a video at the top. It's got all the links. I do the professional photographs. But all of this, I get the lead capture. And then whenever I have a price drop or an open house, I email them and invite them to
Yep.
my open house. It's so much easier than doing all of this yourself. It's really there's no way to do it all yourself, I don't think.
Yeah, no, exactly, exactly. So, on the checklist, and I probably would have been nice to have talked a little bit more before the webinar, but do you ever use the e-flyer for your database tool?
Totally. I send it all, yeah, and the e-flyer to the seller.
Yeah,
So,
talk about both of those a little bit. I want to hear your experience.
well, the e-flyer to my database, I only really use that if it's like in a listing, in a listing that's in, like, for instance, in my neighborhood or somewhere that that I know people in my database are, um, that's where the predominance of people live. But I
Yeah.
definitely send it out the e-flyer to the seller. And I mean, these people work at great companies. They can send it out to their and, you know, people that they work with and their friends and their neighbors, and you never know what kind of business you're going to get from that. So I do that. I also do the social share images to the seller so that they can post it on Nextdoor, Facebook, their Facebook page, their, you know, God only knows anything that they could post it to. Please do.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
what I tell them when I go on a listing appointment, you know, we're partners in this. So I'm going to generate a lot of marketing and I need you to help me in sending it
Yeah.
out.
You know, it's funny because in the mastermind group, Scott Murray came in there like a week or two ago and he said that he generated, I think, 38 free leads because he finally started sending that stuff to the seller, and the sellers absolutely loved it. Dustin Fox, who talks about how he gets 2 listings for every 1 listing marketed in Listings to Leads. That was another thing that he said. He goes, you know, after a year of using Listings to Leads, I always thought sending the stuff to the seller was kind of not a good thing to do because it makes you feel like, you know, maybe you're not doing enough as an agent. But that's actually the opposite, because like what you're saying is sellers, you know, they want to, you know, they want their home sold. And so when they see you doing all of this stuff, it makes them a little bit more, I think, excited to be a part of the process. And if you, in fact, do me a favor and let's open up that seller social media tab, that green arrow to the far right of this. Yeah, there you go. So let's see. I click on that green down arrow to the right.
Okay, sorry, I can't see it. I got to move these.
Oh yeah, you got other things. Yeah.
This thing here. Okay.
And so we'll do the one right above that one.
Oh, sorry.
Yep, there you go. And so this is a tool that automatically goes to the seller, and it'll go to the seller like, you know, 4 or 5 times over the course of the listing.
I actually edited this one and I sent it out, so you can see that I did. Oh, it won't let me pull it up. Sorry, I just changed it up on you.
Oh, that's okay. But the idea is, you know, the seller is going to know a lot of people in the area that are looking to buy and sell as well. And so to share these things with the seller at every status, not only does it put you in front of the seller sphere of influence over and over and over again, but it really tells a story of you getting the listing, right? Having an open house, getting it into contract, right? When it's pending, it goes out again. When it's sold, it goes out again. So it really has a dual effect of that kind of repetition to the seller sphere of influence via social media and email, but then also telling that story of, you know, Kathleen Carmichael is someone that gets homes sold, right? All the way from the just listed to the open house to the pending to the just sold. And so that's awesome that you're using that. That's absolutely perfect.
Yeah, and so I switched to a different listing. So this is the listing that I used to get the other listing I was telling you about. And this guy here, he's actually he's a real estate agent. He has his license. He's a commercial appraiser. He could have sold his home on his own, but he realized how much stuff he has. But I mean, think of his database, all the people that he knows. I'm happy to pay him a referral fee. So I just send him this every single time there's any sort of change. Make sure you send this out because you never know who's going to end up on my database because of him.
Yeah. Well, you know, and it's funny. I had someone who every so often someone will say, well, you know, my seller is 95 years old and they don't know anybody and they're not on Facebook. And to that point, I had a client one time tell me, well, their client was like 95 or whatever it was, but she sent that email to her kids and she had like 5 kids that all lived in the area. And it was unbelievable how many leads they generated from that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's one of those things I always tell people. You're not allowed to say no to sending that tool out. You just do it.
And I think like if you go in on the listing appointment and tell them we're partners in this, I'm going to be sharing this stuff with you so that you can send it out, then that sort of takes away some of that fear that, you know, you're just overstepping your bounds and being corny by sending them this stuff, you know. Just tell them up front you're going to send it. They'll expect it, and then you'll look like you're, you know, really delivering.
Hey, Kathleen, could you, you mentioned earlier that you have this on automation, right? So you're sending this out to the seller. Could you show us what the auto post looks like for this property? Because some of the folks on this call don't actually know that, but it's a great part of the platform.
Here is the Auto post
So
is
that's a
like
landing page.
that's the landing page. Okay, where
Yeah.
would I find that?
Go
I
back to
can
task.
go to my Facebook.
Go to task. There's a shortcut right there.
Oh.
And open up the first task on the right, the first green button on the right. And right here, you can click Facebook in the top. Nope, just click Facebook on the top. Nope, wrong one.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I'm
Up above the top. There you go.
Yeah.
That's the actual post.
So this is what auto posts up to Facebook. As soon as the listing hits the account, this was auto posted, right? And so great auto post. It's got great emojis. It's got the hashtags. All that's automated. And click on the image, and let's show people where this is going to. And so we got the landing page built in, right? So we got the Facebook lead form right there. Continue with Facebook. So this is absolutely brilliant. And so the seller, so just like that auto posted to Kathleen's Facebook page there, the seller gets something similar and it goes to the same landing page, right? So you'll see the seller's friends, and Kathleen, I'm not sure if you're doing this or not, but we talk about this a lot in our training, is as soon as a seller puts it on their Facebook page, right, you go like it, make a comment, right, tag the seller in the comment below the post, and create some of that engagement, because then that'll get more of the seller's sphere of influence, commenting, liking as well, clicking, becoming a lead. So it's an awesome way to make sure that you're not only getting leads from people from your sphere and from your advertising, but also from the seller as well. So that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many great tools.
Yep.
So, I feel like I'm just scratching the surface. I'm really just getting into it. So I know there's a lot more I can do.
Yeah, well, like you said in the beginning of the call here, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, you do. You got to start somewhere, and then it starts to make sense. That's
Well,
what
and I always tell people, if I could get 10 agents and I tell them to do the same 10 things, a month later, they're all going to be doing 10 different things, but that's totally fine, because everyone's going to have different results from the same tools, right? What works for you may work a little bit differently for somebody else in a different area. And so it's up to really the agent, right? It's up to you to figure out, okay, as I work my way down this checklist, maybe I'm going to do a little bit more with the social media postings. Maybe I'll do a little bit more with the letters. In fact, let's go to those letters. Let's take a look at those letters in the print marketing tab on the task list.
Okay.
So go ahead. Yeah, let's just go ahead and collapse this to the far right there. We'll collapse the green arrow.
Oh, sorry. I'm like, where did it go here?
No, I know when you're on a webinar like this, everything gets too fast.
Okay.
And let's open up print marketing. Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah.
And so, yeah, let's show that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's some great flyers. You want me to download this?
Yeah, we can show that one. Yeah, that's an awesome one. That's not too different from the nearby homeowners letter. But I'll tell you what's nice about these print flyers. Let's open that up now that it's downloaded.
Okay.
In fact, I'm sure you saw this. Scroll down a little bit. So you got the URL there, which is awesome. That 4845 Creekland View, thebestlisting.com. So that's awesome. But notice in the bottom right, in that tan box, it says need to sell before you buy. In the bottom right, yep. And it's got that URL goes to a property valuation landing page. So,
right.
And really, that's kind of the whole point of Listing Leads, is using every single tool to try and generate not only just buyer leads, but seller leads like this as well.
And I'll tell you, Scott, I usually have I used to have the text to sell number, and I have a bunch of signs. I got swayed into trying a free one through my company, so that's why I took it off. But I'm going to go back to it because it just makes more sense the way you guys have it set up. So usually, I mean, in past listings, I've had the text number on there, on everything, and I actually put it on all my as much as I can put on anything. And I mean, I've had neighbors next door to the house text the number and then try to do a home value, which is fast. That's all you ever want. And it gives you sort of an in with them in a way that you never would have had before.
Yeah, exactly. What Kathleen's mentioning is we have a text IVR service. You can see that yeah, go ahead and click on that Nearby Homeowners letter.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no worries. But what Kathleen's talking about is we have a text service. And so if you're subscribed to it, it will actually appear on the print flyers, on the images. It'll be in this letter. And the funny thing is, there's two types of agents. The ones that say nobody sends a text off a sign writer anymore, and those that do it and actually get leads off of sign writers. So just like you said, Kathleen, neighbors a lot of times will be the ones that send a text right off the sign writer. So yeah.
Well, and it's $10 a month. So I mean, try and get a Facebook lead for $10 with a phone number. It's it's a no-brainer.
Exactly. So. Exactly. And that's exactly what I tell people. I'm like, for $10 a month, that's like 1.5 leads off of Facebook, seller leads.
Hey, yeah. Scott, let me ask a question here. Kathleen, but the title of this this webinar here is that you got 7 listings out of this. Can you talk a little bit to what tools you were using, or because I know I actually saw the dialogue between you and Scott.
Oh yeah.
You were saying, yeah, these listings are definitely coming from your platform. Can you just talk a little bit about what you were using and what you've been doing, and how you plan to continue to use it, to get more listings?
Well, okay, so first of all, it wasn't 7 listings, but it was 7 deals. So a few of them are buyers, which is fine with me. Basically, about once a week, I just dig into listings to leads and try and figure out something new to learn. I watch your YouTube videos and just start doing things. So this is a funny story, but I was driving down the road the other day, and I was shouldn't have been, but looking at my phone, and all of a sudden I had a Facebook ad out for new construction. I used your landing page and everything. Well, it's all of a sudden, it starts, kind of responding. So I didn't know that I had accidentally set up the listing bot or the chat bot through Listings to Leads for my Facebook ad. I don't know how I did it. It's a mistake, but it was a happy mistake because I got a lead from it, and the guy turned out to be, we ended up talking on the phone that night. He's looking for new construction, $675,000 budget. And, I'm always wondering who these people are and if it's safe to meet people or whatever. So I Googled him, and he's a former NBA basketball player, like legit person. So I was like really excited, and I didn't do anything. And so I was just driving down the road and saw this whole thing taking place. So, it turned into I don't know if he'll end up working with me or not, but actually we corresponded yesterday. So I think it's a pretty good bet. So I just basically do everything you guys tell me to do, and take off one little task at a time and keep learning. So.
That's great.
Well, yeah, and yeah, that's exactly, I think, the right. Hey, let's go ahead and close that Nearby Homeowners letter, and let's say let's take a look at a postcard real quick.
Okay.
Because I don't know, have you looked at the postcards much?
I did look at the postcards.
Yeah,
I haven't sent them out, but I have looked at them. I mean, because it came out, and the door hangers, which I think is great.
Yeah, and the door hangers follow the same pattern as the postcard, except it's just on a door hanger. But these postcards, now they're a little bit more expensive than the actual letter. But for those that want to do postcards and door hangers, all these colors are customizable. It'll say it'll have the status, so coming soon, just listed, for sale, pending, just sold, and then it has the URL. And then go ahead and click. Yep, there you go. And then right there, in fact, let's make that a little bit bigger. Do you know how to make that bigger on your screen?
Let me see. Where's my? I really don't.
Okay, don't worry about it. But
here we go.
Yeah, there we go. So people can see. There we go. So what's awesome about this postcard, and again, this kind of speaks to the entire platform of Listings to Leads, is you see a lot of these postcards, right? Just sold, coming soon, just listed postcards. And either they've got absolutely no call to action, no lead capture capability other than your contact information, or they're so overly convoluted and complicated looking that you have no idea what's going on. I'm looking at one on my desk right now that from an agent that sent me one, and it's just an absolute nightmare to try to figure out what they're trying to get me to do. So this part here, just notice how simple it is, right? On the front, we talked about the listing. Right, in this case, it showed for sale. It had the vanity URL to go to the listing. Had you been subscribed to the text service, it would have said text for more information on the front. And then in the back, simple. When this home is sold, it'll affect your home's value. We got a link to a landing page where they can get a free home value. Simple. And in fact, Kathleen, if you're subscribed to the text service, on the back of this postcard, it would actually have the text for seller leads as well, in addition to that URL.
Right.
So, just kind of, when people talk about, well, I send out postcards, or I send something to my database, or I have a sign writer and I don't get any leads from it, it's because typically these kinds of tools from other vendors they're set up for marketing, not for lead generation. And so
brand awareness, but you need leads in this business. So
exactly. So instead of sending out a just sold postcard that is just a branding exercise, we send out a just sold postcard that not only has a really strong call to action like this one, but it's got the lead capture with that URL there, right? And just like the letter that you can send out, just like the postcard, there's also the door hanger, right? It's how can we use every medium possible: Facebook, email, the seller sphere of influence, our database, direct marketing, print marketing like this, right? Simple call to actions, using a listing, whether it's that you even started off with a listing that wasn't yours, right?
Right.
And that's something that I think, and that's something that really, I don't want to say it makes me sad, but when you think of entrepreneurs, and you think about we're all business people, right? We don't all start out with a book of business, right? We all start somewhere. And sometimes our business slows down and we don't have any listings right now. And so, borrowing a listing to run through the listings to leads checklist is going to bring you business.
Yeah. I mean, I actually, in my neighborhood, there was another listing that sold, wasn't even my listing. I just said, this home has gone under contract. I did a Facebook ad with it, going to a listing to leads landing page. And I got people in my neighborhood clicking on it. And I just took your copy and made a Facebook ad. When this home is sold, it will affect your home's value, and sent them directly to a landing page. And I got leads from it. It was not my, but it was in my territory, and that's what I want to do. I want to be building that up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why some of those letters, I always tell people, if you don't want a listing in that area, then don't use some of these tools because, you're very likely going to get some good leads from these tools. And, so yeah, don't save some of the tools, save them for where you actually want to get a listing. So the letter, the e-flyer for your database, like what you're talking about, right? Don't use them if you're not wanting a listing in that particular area.
Right. But then if you really want a listing in that area, do everything available. Because you never know what somebody's gonna gravitate towards. And some of the older people might really like a letter, but they still will go online and fill out the the form to get their information. But they might like that physical letter and keep it.
Well, and similar to the e-flyer for your database. In fact, I think Alicia just posted in the mastermind group last week. People still do call off those letters, right? And I say still, meaning, God, does anybody actually call anybody anymore? But she put in the mastermind group last week that she was doing something and was at her desk and her phone rang and it was someone that got one of those letters. And I think, one of the nice things about the letters is they don't come across as so salesy, maybe like a postcard or a door hanger might. I say mix it up and use a letter sometimes, use a postcard sometimes. But the nice thing about those letters is, they just look like kind of a normal letter almost, albeit one with a call to action, one with a lead capture. And same with the e-flyer for your database. Not all the time are people going to fill out a landing page. Sometimes they do even better and they just reply back to you, right? Hey, can you come list my house? Hey, can you come talk to me? Hey, can I ask you about my home's value? Which is, right, all about connection, right? And
Yeah.
that even makes it even better.
Yeah, exactly. I actually went on an appointment with somebody from the letter that I sent in my neighborhood to a woman. You know, I didn't know her name. Her son took karate with my son. Had no idea what her name was. Turns out she
Yeah.
lives in my neighborhood, and they're not thinking of moving until next year. But when they do, you know, I've got their attention now. So
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Vince, anything you want to talk about? Let's see if Vince is. Oh, Vince, you still there?
I was here. I'm just muted. Um, no, I mean, one, I just wanted to say thanks, Kathleen. We've watched you sort of grow with us. And as you mentioned, you know, we've got these new bots coming, and I'm really excited that you got that kind of response and you sort of stumbled into it.
yeah,
Um,
that's my point was like just start, and even if you make a mistake, it's better than nothing, you know. Now I'm talking to a person. I didn't even know that I had that set up. So
Well, you know, it's
right.
funny. You told me his name, and I looked him up too, and I was like, "Dang, that's pretty impressive."
yeah, isn't that funny? And I thought, oh, you know, I don't know. This could be weird, you know, because you know, I'm a woman and you got to do that. So you Google everyone, but he's
Oh, for
legit.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's local in your area, retired MBA guy, and it was an awesome conversation. So, no, congratulations on that. And I think that's the thing too. Is like, you know, sometimes we all do it, right? We get nervous, we get scared, we're intimidated by things. But you know, you're not gonna blow up the world if you do something and make a mistake, right? You might waste a couple of dollars, you might waste a few minutes of your time, but you know, this is part of the learning process.
Yeah. And so for me, I sort of stopped doing everything else, you know, because this business is full of shiny objects. So I just focus on listings to leads and I focus on making videos, and that's it for me right now. And I feel like that's actually enough. You know, I'm I'm learning it, and I'm gonna you know, become an expert at it. So that's my goal.
Awesome. Well, between the mastermind group, our support,
Kathleen,
and everything else, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, what's that, Vin?
like that's what I wanted to know is like, you've been with us a while. How have you been learning? Like, I know we do live classes, you get on our classes, I'm sure with Scott or myself, but how is it that you're sort of learning the process of listing leads?
I just start clicking on things, and if it goes out to my Facebook page, so what? It goes to my business page first. No
Yeah.
one's necessarily looking at that. So if I make a mistake, then I just delete it, you know? So I just start clicking on things and learning it. But I'll tell you, once you do and you start to understand the capabilities of the program, which there's a gazillion. I mean, I am doing landing pages now completely having nothing to do with listings, and through your system, and getting and using them for ads, using them on Craigslist, using them on Facebook Marketplace, and getting leads that way. I just started going through just your program, and I'm learning. I really told Scott on the phone the other day that I feel like I could do another business now because I've learned so much about marketing through the program, you know. And so I just start clicking. But once it starts coming to you, when you're on a listing appointment, you know, my confidence with technology now, I know without a shadow of a doubt that I am going to be better than 99% of the agents when it comes to marketing. Because I know how to do just your platform. And
You know, that confidence is gold.
it is. It is. It
That's awesome.
absolutely it translates to the customer.
Yeah, you know, you're talking about landing pages without listings. I'm going to post in the mastermind group here in a little bit. There's a landing page about that someone just did and generated a lot of leads. And it's for all the different Christmas markets and installations in their area coming up. I guess that they have a list of all the different places in their area, and they are crushing it with filling up their database with local people. Again, it's not about a listing. It's not a home value thing. It has nothing to do with real estate. They just took one of our custom landing pages. And again, I'm going to post it in the Mastermind group a little bit later. But what an awesome idea of, not everything has to be about listings. Sometimes we just want to get people into our database so that we can communicate with them down the road.
Exactly. Yeah, get them in the database, communicate with them once a week, and you'll definitely make deals.
Yeah, yep, exactly. It's all about connecting and communicating with as many people as possible. And even if that conversation doesn't start off real estate related, it doesn't mean that conversation can't get to that point down the road. So awesome stuff there. Vince, anything else from you that you want to ask Kathleen, or are we good here? What do you think?
We got one question that, and I don't know, Kathleen, do you use our valuation landing pages? Do you go out there looking for listing leads? And the question, so let me ask, the question that got asked was, what do you do for those leads that don't come in with phone numbers? So what's your process there?
Oh, well, I put them on my weekly email list. So, I just feel like it's no lead is a bad lead. I don't mind if they're on my weekly email list. So every single week I send out just a basic MailChimp email that has a video on it that I've done for that week. And it could be completely unrelated to them. They could live in a different city and I'm doing it. Doesn't matter. People still watch it. But on that MailChimp email that I send out, there's a link to a Listings to Leads landing page for home valuations. So even if the lead comes in as a buyer lead, if they're going on my MailChimp weekly email, they could potentially turn into a seller lead as well. And then it all goes into, and that's it. And that's what I do. So if they come in and I don't get their phone number, then, oh, well, maybe one day they'll turn into something.
Awesome. That's
for people that are, kind of going down that road, on the one hand, it's a numbers game. So, don't stress and freak out about any one particular lead. Like Kathleen is saying, have a process, because the better your process, right? In her case, doing a video, sending it out via MailChimp, there's 10 different ways of doing something like that. The key is just figure out what you're going to do and just do it every single week, because again, it's a numbers game. As you keep filling up your database, as you keep communicating with these people like that, they are going to start converting. And Kathleen, I'm sure some of these people probably just reply back to you with a question. Some of them maybe fill out the landing page. So it's not like everything's going to come through a landing page all the time, right?
Right. No, if I ever talk to them, they go on my database. So it's one of those things, but it's amazing how many people don't really want to talk to you until they're ready to talk to you. And so it is a numbers game. You have to have and that's the difference, I think, in real estate for me before I took time off and after. Before technology kind of took a hold, if you talk to somebody, basically they were going to be your client. At least I felt like that. And now, there's so many other options for them. They might just be getting information, and that's okay. So I had to the volume is important to me now. To make money, you got to have more leads. I mean, there's 45,000 real estate agents in Atlanta, so I have to have leads. 45,000, and that's just realtors. So imagine how many are not realtors. So yeah.
Well, and the key is who can grow their database the biggest, who can communicate with people with the most consistency, right? Of those 45,000 agents, right, probably 10% are doing any marketing, and of the 10%, maybe 1% is doing any kind of effective, consistent communication. So, Kathleen, you're ahead of 99% of those 45,000, I'm sure.
Well, that's my goal. So yeah, and I'm just keeping it simple by just doing listings to leads, everything you guys provide, and sending a weekly email with a video, and that is it.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, listen, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Vince, are you good on your end? Nothing else?
Thanks a lot, Kathleen, for being on the call with us, and we hope to hear and learn more from you in the future.
All right, guys. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thank you. Have a wonderful day.
All right, you too. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. All right, bye-bye.